Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
What is that?
Whenever you're ready to go, go.
Well, Justin has successfully ruined all of my joyful intros, and this is all I have left.
I am not a ruiner of things.
You are a ruiner of good intros. Let's just jump into it. Emotional maturity. I wish everybody had it. I wish you had it during the intros that I tried to start from this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
It is really difficult to have relationships with people who are emotionally immature, but they don't teach how to become emotionally mature. And that is such a disservice. I wish they taught what we are going to talk about today in this session in high school, in middle school. Like, those are the skills. I don't remember trigonometry. You know what I would have needed is some skills for humans. Why is that not a class?
I honestly feel like you come out more immature from school
Totally.
and more incapable of actually communicating yourself from being in that
Well, 'cause you have to survive.
cesspool of experience.
Yes. It's so true.
I always see like homeschool kids like I know
Watch
that there's
it. I'm right here.
yeah,
Me too.
there's an aspect of them that sometimes if they don't
Stunted.
get integrated properly, but there's also like a maturity to a lot of them where they're like, I can have an adult conversation
That's true.
normally. Like, and I'm like, well, these guys went through the education system and they can't even like have a cordial conversation with one another on the internet.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So emotional maturity.
What a nice little soapbox. We've been talking about emotional distress
Yeah.
in this, and really what we're talking about is resilience. How to be a resilient person, and in order to have any relationship that has depth, intimacy, connection, commitment, any kind of level of richness.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other words, but richness. You need to have emotional distress tolerance inside of conflict. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about the ability to tolerate uncomfortable moments, the ability to tolerate uncomfortable sensations in your body and uncomfortable feelings and uncomfortable thoughts. So in conflict is one of the hardest scenarios for every single human to work through. I don't know any person that's just like, I love doing healthy conflict. Now, some people love doing fights. I'm not saying that.
Enjoy lawyering.
Some people love telling people off. That's not what I'm talking about. Healthy conflict is a skill that takes a lot of work, but would make the world a better place.
100%.
Yeah, it takes a lot of self-control, deliberate behavior. Like you have to take be deliberate in your responses.
Be intentional.
Be intentional, absolutely.
Well,
inside
what
of
you
it.
just said, self-control, is something you can only have if you have emotional distress tolerance.
Yeah.
Which is what we're talking about. The ability. So when we talk about that, emotional distress tolerance is the ability to stay present with hard emotions without needing to run, escape, or shut down or fix something.
Yeah.
And that is so hard in conflict. I want to escape the feelings. I want to fix the problem, or I want to blame you to get out of it.
Make it go away.
Make it
all
go
go
away.
away.
Make it go away. Make it go away. And
Yep.
that is what a lot of our initial responses are when conflict comes up is make it go away. Fix it. Solve it. Be done. Be done. Be done.
Yeah.
And most of the problems that create bigger problems in conflict is about us not having the resiliency to be able to hold a little bit of discomfort and a little bit of stress. And we're talking about this because in society today, there is kind of this emotional health concept that we need to avoid distress. We need to avoid stressful things in order for our nervous system to be safe and healthy and whole. And that is just not true. Rachel, do you want to talk about the science?
Do you want to have science? Well, I do think it's important to know that like your level of safety should actually be like happening at the same time as your ability to tolerate truth and the ability to actually just feel both of them at the same time. Like if you actually are growing your window of tolerance, that actually means you can tolerate more. But I think a lot of times we've decided in society that like emotions, sensations, maybe they're gonna harm us, or maybe they're going to create some sort of damage on the inside. So we have like a get it out as fast as possible.
Push it away.
Totally. But what ends up happening in our nervous system is when we start saying get it out as fast as possible, we teach our nervous system that is threatening. You can't feel that. You can't tolerate that. You can't sit in that for very long. And so then our window of tolerance becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So the best thing that you can do for your nervous system is to both connect to a sense of safety and do consistent, purposeful stresses really in tandem with each other.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say do the highest stress thing possible
Totally.
to train yourself, because that will flood you and you'll get overwhelmed and you'll lose it.
Yeah.
But learning how to tolerate levels of stress is an important life skill. And again, I had never heard about how to do that. And so I was fragile for a lot of my life because nobody taught me what not being fragile actually looked like. I tried the concept of shove it all down, act like you're fine, compartmentalize, push through, because that's what I thought tough was. That's what I thought resilient was. But what happened is I would shove down all of my feelings, all my frustrations, all my fears, all my anxiety, and then they would pop up somewhere else in a different way, where I'd be like so powerful and so strong, and then I'd like have a complete meltdown over here because I wasn't actually resilient. Pretending to be fine is not actual resilience. And a lot of resilience comes from, just to give our listeners an overall concept, there's a couple things. The more aware of safety you are, the more resilient you are. So when I talk about that, mindfulness would be like, right now, I'm with two safe people who both love me, who both have so much to say about this subject, and who have both grown the skill so much. They're both very emotionally mature, and they've worked really hard. And so that is we're in a safe moment right now. Most of us don't stop throughout our day to notice how many times we're actually in safe situations.
Yeah.
Right now, no one's attacking us. The heat is not bothering us because there's air conditioning. There's no coyotes prowling.
Coyotes? There's just no coyotes? There's no lions, there's no tigers, there's no bears, oh my.
Yes. So we are in a safe situation.
Right. There's no predators that are going to come and take us out. There's no zombies running around.
Yes. And so we're really, really safe. So part of resiliency comes from noticing all of the ways that we're safe. And then part of resiliency comes from noticing, learning how to tolerate uncomfortable feelings a little bit more. So I thought we'd jump in. Do you want to start with, because I think our whole marriage changed on this concept specifically, and you have a very tangible way that looked. Do you want to start?
Well, I want to back up. So when we're talking about building emotional distress tolerance, a lot of people believe that fixing our solution, so part of the fragility that we experience in the world today is because there's this belief that something outside of me can destroy me and I'm powerless to these external circumstances. And this conversation is about an internal empowerment. Like we in the emotional health field, if we are actually doing the work, there's an empowerment that goes on inside of us, a resilience that builds inside of us where we go, oh, I'm actually okay. My tolerance is massive because I've been working steps inside of myself to be powerful within. And so this is about like letting go of the finger pointing out there and actually feeling like my peace in all of my circumstances has come from realizing that I can do an internal work in any moment, and that can shift how I'm experiencing everything outside of me.
Like one thing you're saying is you can actually self-soothe.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wait for other people.
I can create comfort within my own being.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about safety, the idea of safety, it's actually an internal conversation of reminding yourself, hey, things are actually really good. Everything's not falling apart. It's an internal work that you're doing to develop that safety inside of yourself. And it's restoring peace, and it's creating a standard of settledness inside of our being, which is, so this is really a conversation about empowerment.
Yeah.
It's really healthy. And this is part of the journey that I went on, was empowerment. So like in our relationship, when you and I found ourselves inside of conflict, there are places where you either escalated or I perceived escalation or emotions happening from you that then felt like I couldn't take that. I didn't know what to do with that. It felt like you had tossed a hot potato at me and it was burning and scalding my hands, these emotions that you were expressing. And my anxiety went through the roof. Yeah. And then I'm trying to toss it back. And tossing it back looks like being like, this is your fault. It's not my fault. I didn't do this. You're to blame for this situation. Leave me alone. I don't want to talk about this. I'm trying to get out of it immediately, right?
Defensiveness, blame, walking away, and shutting things down. Like, it's fine. It's fine. All those things are things that we do when we are not tolerating stress.
So what I noticed, discomfort. Right? What I noticed was a word that I didn't learn until later on in life was I was overwhelmed. I was hitting massive overwhelm, and it was very similar to my childhood, where the circumstances outside of me provoked an internal experience that was so big for me, and I didn't know how to navigate it, that I hit overwhelm.
Yeah.
And so that's because I didn't have distress tolerance that built up inside of it. And so for me, I found myself years ago getting involved with like Wim Hof stuff and cold plunging. And when I got in the cold plunge, like at first it was horrible and I just wanted to get out of, like, jump out of the water as fast as possible. And then I started moving from that to forcing myself to be in it, just a little bit longer. I'm going to do 2 minutes now, or I'm going to do 3 minutes now inside of this. And I went from white knuckling, like that sense of like, I'm just putting up with this until I get through this. 'Cause that's what I'd done my whole life.
Yep.
I had just put up with the stress until I could somehow get out of it, whether I appeased the person across from me or I exited out of the situation. And all of a sudden I began to tell myself, like, you can be fully in this moment right now. This moment is not going to kill you. It's not going to destroy you. You're safe in here. Like, this cold water, as cold as it is not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And it has a beginning and an end to it. There's an actual end to the time that I'm going to be inside of this. So I started connecting into both my emotions and my body. And as I connected into my body, I began to like teach myself to loosen my muscles. And I would relax in to this cold plunge. And I got so relaxed in this cold plunge that I almost fell asleep multiple times.
Then is dangerous. You're like, I'm not going to die. You will if you fall asleep.
Because what I would I started telling my body, this is okay. Again.
So what your body is feeling the stress. It's feeling the panic. It's literally saying, we need to get out of this water or you're going to die. That's what your body is saying. And you're telling your body, actually, I'm not going to die. Actually, I'm safe. Actually, this is an okay amount of time. I am only going to be here in a little bit.
And I would say, I do want to be here, because one of the repeating thoughts inside of my head is, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. I don't want to be here, which is something that cycles in most people's like heads, in the unconscious, in the back of their head, is like, I don't want to be here. Just get me out of this. Instead of being like, I want to be here. I want to face this thing. I can face this thing. And the more that I kept saying that, the more that my body, I communicated to my body, this is fine. My body said, I'll settle into this. And so what I watched was, I found myself, well, let me back up. One of the things that Wim Hof always says in his breathing videos, he says,
oh, sorry, there's a piece of lint that just flew out of nowhere.
Thanks for grooming my
I'm sorry.
body.
There's a thing that Wim Hof says.
There's a thing that Wim Hof says in his breathing exercise. He's like, be in this moment. Let the body do
what the body does.
Nope, doesn't say that. He says, let the body do what the body is capable of doing. But the phrase capable, like I kept hearing, the body is capable of doing this. And so I remember, like, as that transition was happening, we would find ourselves in the middle of a conflict, and I would literally hear Wim's voice, be in this moment. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing.
And you're like, I'm capable of being in this conflict
In
with
this
my
high
wife.
stress conflict. But all of a sudden, that as I was sinking into that truth, my body would go back into the cold plunge, and I would I'm mentally and physically somehow back in this cold plunge as we're having this exchange, and I could feel my body go, and I just settled into it. And I was like, there will be a beginning and an end to this exchange. And then I could look peacefully at what I was experiencing. And then instead of reacting, I started to engage in responding. I started to be able to find my words instead of freezing up, because I would go into the 4F response of freeze often and just lock up.
Yeah.
I could suddenly be with it, and I wouldn't lock up because it wasn't so scary. And I could say, I can tell I'm moving towards freeze. I can tell there's overwhelm in my body. I could begin the narration process, but it's only because I could tolerate this uncomfortable experience of you having maybe bad emotions, or the feeling of maybe feeling accused or blamed, or feeling like I'm somehow a bad husband because of what's happening. And I'm like, I can be with this. This is going to end. And we can communicate around this.
Yeah, I think the concept is that in conflict, most of us have that flooding moment, whether we're aware of it or not. I wasn't conscious of it before, but that feeling of the discomfort growing. And most of us are not aware. We're not taught to be aware of what's going on in our body. So you would have discomfort growing in your body, and then all of a sudden it would flip into defensiveness or blame or shutdown, or I want to be done with this. Because what happens is our body takes over for us, and it's like we're going to react fast to this uncomfortable feeling
100%
to get you out of it. And so what you're talking about is slowing it down enough to be like, no, I can actually feel the stress coming up, but this stress, and you've relabeled it in your brain, because before it was labeled as this could kill you. This is too much for you. You can't handle this. And you were able to relabel that sensation of stress as I'm capable of feeling this. I'm capable of being in this and being able to still be calm and relaxed. I'm able to feel an uncomfortable feeling, and I don't have to react fast to get rid of it. I can actually sit in it and feel that I'm still safe.
Look, and the truth is that my body responded in a way that it was trained to based on my history.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're listening and you hear this, like, and you identify with it, you have to have compassion on that area of yourself.
Oh, totally.
Like I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, of course I went into freeze. Of course I went into overwhelm. Of course I wanted to get out as fast as possible of these scenarios. It felt like my skin was on fire being
In conflict.
yeah, it felt like every part of me was in this agony, because there were such familiar emotions to the most painful times of my history. And so, but doing this and getting present with this in this way helped me even identify my historic pain, because I'm not just escaping, out of my head and out of the situation. I'm present long enough, and I'm capable of feeling the emotions long enough that I can identify them, and I can go, this is very familiar to when I had a parent yelling and screaming in my face, the feeling that I'm having. Abby might not be doing that. It's just very familiar to what I experienced in my body.
The distress.
And the distress. And then I could identify it, and then I could do something to rectify it.
Yeah.
I could comfort it. I could bring compassion to that area, and I could resolve it. And resolving these root issues inside of me actually expanded my tolerance.
Yes, it does.
The very root thing that was causing me to run away, I could finally face, resolve, and expand.
Yeah, because when you recognize this feeling is from my childhood, when I was really powerless, when I was really scared because I could get beat. This thing that felt really overwhelming to me, I'm not actually that little kid anymore. This feels the same, but it's not the exact same situation.
Yeah.
And that little kid needs love and care and comfort. And as you comfort that little kid, then they're not showing up as much inside of conflict. So now you have much more space. So this really impacted our marriage, because all of a sudden, when conflict would start to happen, there'd be times when I thought we're just having a normal back and forth. And instead of him getting flooded fast like he used to and reacting fast, and then it feeling like we're just doing a back and forth, he was able to slow things down and then be connected to himself. So he's no longer blaming me. He's no longer yelling. He's no longer getting defensive. He's actually being able to be present in the conversation. So now we're actually being able to have better connection.
Beautiful.
And now I'm feeling seen and heard, because as long as he's trying to get the hot potato away, he's never going to hear or see me. Because that's not a posture of, I want to hear and hold your heart.
Well, the focus is survival, right?
Yes.
Like my focus becomes, I just want to live through this moment and get to the other side of it, versus I want to be present inside of this and figure out how to reconnect.
Yes.
Or bridge the gap that we're having here.
And I think that's a really good example. It is, you're either looking for survival or how do we do this well? And the more you build stress tolerance, why can I not say
Distress tolerance.
the more you build the capacity to feel discomfort, the more you can be about the relationship and about repair than about getting the pain away.
Yeah, I like to think of it as, it's kind of like as your body threat is escalating, kind of going up and up, your brain function and your connection circuits are going down.
Yes.
So as Justin is describing this moment in conflict where his body is starting to escalate, get high and high, your brain and your connection circuits are coming low. And typically there's a threshold that we hit that is like the zone of reaction, where we no longer have very much power for what we're choosing to do. We're often just reacting. And so what I love about what you're saying, Justin, is I think it gives people a lot of compassion for themselves and validation.
Absolutely.
If you have reacted out of what you would want to react like in conflict, often what's happening is there's a body response that's happening that we're just having a really difficult time tolerating.
Yes.
And what I love about what you described, Justin, is the ability to do two things, which is to actually choose a little bit of distress. So the ability to actually say, I'm going to choose to do something like ice baths so I can face the discomfort of this over and over. It trains your body that it's not scary because it's not happening to you. It's something that you're choosing.
And
so
that you have power over.
That you have power over. If you think about trauma, the essence of trauma is sort of inescapability and powerlessness and feeling trapped. And so you're experiencing that very sensation in a way that is not trapping, in a way that
you
isn't
have
powerless.
power.
And you're doing that over and over. And then you're doing this other thing that I think is incredible, which is that you're just labeling the distress as just a sensation.
Yes.
Like, okay, this distress is just a body sensation. And if we label it like it's just a sensation, that means sensation can pass. Sensation is naturally temporary. So I love what you're saying. I think it's so powerful.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add too is that oftentimes people are in search of peace at all costs, but the peace that they're getting is the illusion of peace.
Yeah.
Right. So part of like the avoidance of these experiences is because they're like, I don't want to lose my peace that I have, but you don't actually have peace because all this stuff is all under the surface going on. And where I gained real peace is when I expanded my distress tolerance. When I actually faced these things inside of me, I cultivated peace. So when we're in the middle of an exchange now, I can feel my whole body settled. Like, oh, I don't feel the threat of this situation because the historic things that told me this was a threat got taken care of in the process. And I just want to highlight that because a lot of people, like, your road to peace usually involves having to experience distress.
It's really good, Justin.
Yeah. And a lot of times when people try to get to peace at all costs, they like this happened in our relationship a lot. You just wanted to get over the fight. So you'd either apologize for it no matter what, or you'd be like, it's fine, I'm done. We don't need to talk about this anymore. That's the like fix it, end it, solve it as fast as possible. And because of that, this is what I like to say, unconscious things that are not resolved will unconsciously find a way to come back over and over and over again. So because we weren't resolving,
especially if you're married.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because we weren't resolving conflict, we were just shoving it down. Unconsciously, it would just find a way to come back over and over and over again. So where you were trying to cut out how much time you'd feel stress, it actually added time for you feel stressed, because now we're having 10 conflicts about the same thing instead of one conflict where we actually resolve. Yeah. And that's the beauty. The more you become present, the more you can actually get to where you see each other, and then you don't have to have it keep popping up over and over again.
And you made a point in conflict, when you're just trying to get to peace, you do these things like, even apologizing. Like I'll use this as an example, and I think we talked about it in the previous podcast, but there's a lot of times I abandoned myself. Like I didn't actually say what I really felt or what I really needed. I was just like, okay, I'm sorry. Instead of being like, actually, this doesn't feel good. I need to actually share my side of my experience as well. There's something that we need to face, because it's not just about you. It's about both of us having an experience that we need to deal with. I just be like, I don't care. Did I make her happy, or did I like resolve whatever she wanted? Fine. I'll throw my stuff out on the back burner. And so I went into a bunch of self-abandonment, and then the self-abandonment would lead to a bitterness and resentment inside of me.
And that would come out of me.
Because I didn't get something resolved. I perceived that you were getting resolves when I was bending to whatever I thought you needed in order to get over this. So I'd be like, she's getting resolved. I'm not. I'm frustrated. I'm not getting taken care of. But that's because I didn't want to stay present in the uncomfortable conflict that was happening.
It's so true, because, and I experienced that a lot, because there would be lots of times I'd be like, is there anything that you want to share so that I can see and hear you? Is there anything that you like need me to repair for? And the answer always was, no, I'm good. I just want to be done.
Yeah.
And I would be like, okay, but then bitterness would come out at me. And so it felt like lying. It felt like you were lying to me, even though that wasn't your intention. Your intention was just to get out.
Yeah, because the thought was this,
Can we slow this down just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the thought was inside of me, this will only make this worse. So what's the lesser of the two evils in this experience, right? Like, if I just abandon myself, it's less than the potential feeling of distress or discomfort that I'm going to have of this maybe escalating further.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had to actually be like, I'm not calculating this correctly. It actually is much worse when I abandon myself, because we have
for you and for me
further problems down the road.
Oh yeah, the conflict calculator. I wish they taught this. There's a conflict calculator, which is like, you do things. If you do things to subtract in the conflict that should not be subtracted, then it'll be multiplied to you later.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah. Okay, you have a great example of a conflict where your distress tolerance had grown, and so you were able to work through it in a brand new way. Would you be open to sharing that?
Yeah. The one about me and Kyle. So I like telling the story because I think it's pretty relatable to a lot of different people, because I've heard a version of this fight many times.
Absolutely.
But me and my husband, we both have a lot of shame. So our conflicts are kind of funny because we both have a really hard time tolerating our shame. So I had approached him because I was noticing that he was a little bit more disconnected. And so I was like, often a thing that I will ask him is if he'll go see a counselor, which immediately I will say brings up anxiety in my body. So every time I bring up that topic, my body is already kind of feeling it rise.
Absolutely.
Which even that, being able to be aware of that now is different than how it would have been in the past.
And that's part of distress tolerance, is even noticing. I know what's going on in my body, and I can label it and be aware of it in real time.
Totally. I can slow down what is happening enough to be aware of my own stuff, not just whatever it is I'm focused on inside of him, right? So I come and I'm like, I would love it for you to go see a counselor. I can tell I feel anxiety asking. And my husband sort of very quickly goes, well, I don't see a counselor, but you don't go see the doctor ever. And I felt my body then just go, on the inside, I could tell myself, feel like you're breaking the conflict rules. Don't you know that when we're doing conflict, you're not supposed to switch the subject about being something else. We're not even finished talking about what I wanted to talk about.
Totally.
I immediately wanted to get defensive and tell him all the reasons that he was breaking the conflict
lawyer.
rules and lawyer him and be like, and go into a little bit of what I call like therapist Rachel, which is like, let me tell you why you're deflecting and why you're not actually wanting to take ownership and why you won't just acknowledge that you don't want to go to the therapist. Why are you making this about the doctor?
Yes.
Like I could tell myself really heightened anxiety about it and
100%.
wanting to react immediately.
You wanted to throw it back. So he felt, when you said,
Exactly.
I want you to see a counselor, he felt the shame, which
Yes.
is like the hot potato.
100%.
And he was like, I'm not holding this. And he threw it back.
And then I was like, I want to throw it back to you.
Totally.
And thankfully, I've been kind of on this journey of distress tolerance. And I was like, okay, what if I just slowed down the pace of what's happening enough to actually be like, what is it that's happening in me that is wanting to sort of, that is causing me to want to react and go back against you instead of working towards a win-win for both of us.
Yes.
And so I could tell myself, I was like, wow, I probably do feel a lot of shame about the fact that I don't go to the doctor. Like, I was like, he has a point. I don't like the doctor, and I avoid it at all costs. And then I thought, yeah, there's a lot of threat to me about going to the doctor. I have a lot of experiences that were difficult in that arena. And so I was like, yeah, we're probably the same in that way. He doesn't want to go to the therapy because he doesn't want to feel his intolerable feelings.
Yep.
I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want to feel my intolerable feelings.
Yes.
And so I thought, what if I just started to narrate that I'm having a really hard time just tolerating the shame that I felt when he had made that comment.
Yes.
And so I just narrated like, okay, I see that we're both probably a little activated, but I'm just having a little bit of a hard time holding the shame that I feel about the doctor thing. And so I'm just going to sit and breathe for a little bit until I can get this big ball of lava inside of me to soothe and calm down a little bit. And so I did that. I just sort of sat there and breathed for a little while. And then I started to name things like, I bet we're both the same. I bet you don't want to go to therapy because you're like, I'm going to have to feel all of the shame that I have inside. And I bet that is probably the same reason that I don't want to go to the doctor. And I'm so glad that I'm with someone who kind of does know a little bit of what it's like, that shame is really hard to hold for both of us.
Totally.
And in that way, we're together on the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're with me on this
Yeah.
hard to tolerate emotional experience journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that really changed. And then, of course, when I was like, I can tell I'm just having a really hard time tolerating the shame of this right now. Thankfully, I have a husband who naturally does melt quite easy when I take ownership.
Yep.
And then he was able to be like, yeah, I have a lot of avoidance about going to therapy. And I was like, I know. We're both so the same in this way. And then that created a new path for us to have the conversation.
Yes.
But to me, the turning point was I can slow down enough to just name and acknowledge what is happening inside of me. And then the belief that I have the power to soothe what is happening inside of me, regardless of what he's doing in the conflict or regardless of his reaction, that I have the power to notice it, name it, and do something to alleviate it a little bit to be able to be more present in the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, I thought that was such a beautiful conflict. I mean, that's so incredible.
I also just want to say this. I was thinking about like that is such a relatable experience to like every couple, like in every couple fight that exists. Well, you don't. Da, da, da. Like, here it comes. The shame neither of us can tolerate.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things that has built a lot of resiliency in me is understanding that we all have emotions and body sensations that feel intolerable to us.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things about that. It instantly gives me compassion. So my biggest reactions are around the things that feel most intolerable to me.
100%.
So like for me, rejection feels really intolerable. It's really hard for me to feel that feeling.
Yeah.
I think for Justin, feeling controlled is one of his very intolerable feelings.
Violating my autonomy.
You can really even say
feel
that
your
for the
anger
worst.
your intensity. And for you, I think shame is one of your really big intolerable
100%,
feelings.
yeah.
and everybody has, I mean, slight variations.
Yeah.
And there's probably multiple intolerable things that we all feel. But what it's done for me has been like, there are certain things that feel so overwhelming to me to try to hold, like that hot potato.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I can recognize I want to react, or I want to push away, or I want to do that, I'll be like, is this one of those intolerable sensations?
Yeah.
And just by naming it, this is one of the hardest things for me to hold. This is one of the most painful things for me to experience.
Yeah.
That instantly turns a little bit of compassion on, and turns a little bit of self-comfort on, of like, oh, of course, this is like one of your biggest fears. It also, when I say this is one of my intolerable emotion, starts to go into a category in my mind of intolerable emotions don't actually equal threat. They just equal threat to me. Like, because the truth
really good.
is, I often feel rejected in scenarios with Justin. He's not often rejecting me consciously. No, sometimes he is, because he has autonomy triggers. But the concept is, the threat is not always matching what is the situation, and also the threat is not always life and death danger. And so for me, once I can recognize I'm feeling rejection, now rejection is so intolerable for me, and I'm working with my counselor on building my capacity to feel it more. And basically the way you do it is you learn how to touch that emotion while staying connected to feeling safe and loved. So that's what I'm working on, where I can hold both at the same time.
Yeah.
And we're practicing, and I'm slowly getting better, but it is very hard because everything inside my body is wired to run and fight at all costs against rejection. So when rejection comes up, one of the things that's valuable is I've been able to explain that to Justin, how intolerable it feels, how overwhelming, how flooding it is. So now, both me and him in conflict, I might say, like, I'm feeling really rejected. And that might be as much tolerance as just acknowledging it for a long time was so overwhelming to me to just say I felt it. I wanted to die just saying it. I wanted to squirm out of my own skin. I hated it. That, like, just acknowledging I was feeling my intolerable emotion felt like almost too much to tolerate. So we've both been able, but because it's a little bit more vulnerable, it is much more palatable for Justin to hear I'm feeling rejected than to hear me lawyer him about what he's doing.
Well,
wrong.
I was literally going to say, the alternative was you lawyering me and going into control or something like that, and this intensity that came out of you, and I'm like, the hell is this aggression that I'm experiencing out of this moment? But when you came to me and you're like, I'm actually feeling really rejected, I'm like, oh, this is her thing. This is the thing that's the most vulnerable for her to say. And oftentimes it would start hitting immediately into a compassion place inside of me. I'm like, all right, she's feeling rejected right now inside of this. And then I don't feel it. And then I know what I'm actually dealing with. Like the lawyering, I'm like, what is this actually about? And a lot of times inside of fights, people are having these exchanges that don't make sense to the actual experience that's happening. And
100%.
Like, why are you fighting me on this? And it's because I have an intolerable emotion and I don't know how to name it.
Oh, 100%.
That's so real.
I'm just feeling rejected right now. All right, great.
Most of the
Good to
time,
know.
though, I didn't know I was feeling rejected.
Right.
For years of our marriage, it was because I didn't have distress tolerance. I would just feel it's like you threw the hot potato at me. I'm throwing it back. I don't even know what's going on inside of me. I'm just fighting to survive. I'm not connected enough to myself to slow down. And that's why I like the image of a hot potato, because emotional maturity is the ability to stay present with hard emotions and sensations. And so if I think about like the hot potato, instead of throwing it to you, holding it long enough to be like, oh, this is rejection. I have to actually sit with it long enough inside of me to even figure out what it is.
100%.
And what my body wants to do is react before I even can figure out what it is. My body wants to be, throw it away.
Which, by the way, that reaction is a hijacking, right?
Yes.
And so we are being hijacked over and over again. And we're like, almost like a pinball. I think of a pinball machine for those that remember what pinball machines are, but it feels like you're being bounced around in the moment of these conflicts, and you're totally being overtaken by something, and it's this thing right here. It's these underlying issues that we don't want to accept that they're happening, and we don't want to face them and embrace them.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, because I was thinking one thing that really helped me just understand about my own nervous system and myself is that our body is like kind of playing a matchmaker game. So if I have a really intense physical experience, it wants to sort of say, what is the situation that matches this level of intensity that I'm feeling? So a lot of times conflict, my body is saying the intensity that I'm feeling must be because you are this
so
level
bad.
of worse.
Yes. You're
You are
so
this-
bad. You're so threatening. You're so defensive. You're so wrong.
Scary.
Yes.
You're so terrifying because we're wanting it to almost like equal.
Yes.
We're wanting the situation at hand to sort of make sense for why we're feeling the intensity that we're feeling. And so for me, what was massive in my own relationship with conflict and relationship with other people I was doing conflict with was when I could actually start to be like, actually, if I'm feeling this level of intensity, it probably is because I'm having an intolerable emotion, not necessarily because the situation at hand is this level of threatening. Like I started to be like, I can't be having this many life-threatening situations. Like that just isn't actually possible to the level of life-threatening that I'm actually feeling inside of my own nervous system. And so to me, distress tolerance has often been like, oh, I'm having my body is saying that this is a really scary situation. Can I hold it long enough to get curious about it and then look at, is there actually something going on from my past or something that's happening that is just making the sensation of this situation really hard to hold, instead of aiming all my energy just at the situation must be why I'm feeling this feeling.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, we were having a conversation the other day about people in your life that you've seen have big reactions, and so they're like, I need to quit my job, I need to in this relationship, I need to get out because it feels uncomfortable. And what were you saying is how your internal processing system?
Yeah, I mean, I think I am naturally like, our bodies send signals for all sorts of reasons. It can be because the situation is threatening, like that's true.
Yeah.
If you get chased by a lion, your body is going to go
tell ya.
nuts. That's true. But also, like, a lot of the time it's reacting to things that happened in the past, that we're just having like a little bit of a whiff of something familiar that is happening now, that our body hasn't been able to distinguish between those two things. And so our body immediately gets flooded, and then we feel like that's because the situation is actually that threatening. Like I was thinking about our relationship, and I was like, I have had so many body threat reactions in our relationship about funny things. Like I could go through all the funny things that I had like genuinely terrifying body experiences about that were just very normal human interactions that my body had been like, oh my God,
level
this
500.
is because 500 I'm about to be abandoned and she hates me and I'm not safe anymore and but didn't
Can you
match.
give an example?
Yeah, I mean, we have this happen at work often, whereas like you'll just like ask a question.
Yeah.
You'll be like, where are you on the document?
Totally.
Which is a neutral question. I want everyone to know it's a neutral question. And my body will literally be like, what if I'm doing something wrong? I'm on the document. What if I'm in the wrong area of the document? What if I missed this whole thing? It's probably
What if
because
she's
I'm
going to fire me?
dyslexic and
What
maybe
if
she's
I'm
gonna
going to get kicked out of her life? What if this is the time she decides to abandon me forever?
100%. So like if I had just made decisions about our relationship fully just based on how much threat my body would have, we wouldn't be close. Like that just wouldn't have happened.
Yes.
Because my body had so much threat. And so, and again, a lot of that was completely neutral content.
Yeah.
But my body had been like, this reminds me of this threat in the past. This reminds me of this attachment in the past that was really hard. And so for me, part of distress tolerance was being able to be with the sensation and then be with the sensation for long enough to actually explore what it was about for me in the past and be able to be like, what I'm experiencing right now is actually so much more about a projection of what it is that I think is happening right now and not actually fully based in what is happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which enables you to then feel a little bit more power. I don't have to
100%.
just throw everything. Now, I do think there are really concerning situations that you
that's a
do
good
need
point.
to leave and get out of.
Yeah.
And so we're not wanting you to gaslight yourself.
Totally.
But we are wanting you to actually go on the process of being able to name and understand what's going on inside of you, what it's bringing up for you, being able to tolerate the feeling enough. Tolerating the feeling doesn't mean I have to stay in an unhealthy cycle for forever.
Yeah.
You know,
that's good.
It just means you can tolerate it enough to make a decision that's intentional towards health instead of a reaction to get away from the sensation.
100%.
Is basically the gist of it. And I think like in order to be close with people, you have to grow your tolerance for whatever the things are. Like I know.
Yeah, I've had to learn to tolerate a lot with you.
You know, relationships are distressing.
They are.
Yeah.
Because all of us have so many things that happened in our history, so many pains, so much times we've been abandoned or betrayed or somebody hurt us in a way we weren't expecting or conflict was painful. So I know when we started working together, I was very aware that there were certain triggers where a lot of my feelings with my mom would come up. It'd create whiffs of like, this is what it felt like with my mom.
Yeah.
Because you really had that fear of abandonment. And when that fear would come up, you'd want to cling.
Yeah, 100%.
And when I could feel you want to cling, it felt like my mom, who her counselor described her as trying to suck the life out of me. And so when I would feel that clinging, I would be like, ah! And sometimes I would have reactions of like, whoa,
totally,
which were not fun for you,
and not fun for me. Reactions.
No, not aggressive necessarily.
Like
in an internal wall.
Right.
It wouldn't even be
It wouldn't be an outer.
It wouldn't be like, get out of here, Rachel. It wasn't like that. It would be like, I need a minute. It might be that, but you could feel the energy wall. But how would you describe it?
Yeah, like it actually just felt like a little bit of an energy push out, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I call it like an autonomy boundary.
Yes.
Like you were like, I need there to be space
Yes.
between you and I.
Yeah.
But the energy did feel like a wall, and it did on the inside feel a bit like rejection.
Of course. I think autonomy, this is one of my huge issues with Justin, is that autonomy boundaries often feel very rejecting because the energy is get away from me, which is rejection. So I felt compassion for you while it was happening, and also compassion for me, like, oh, I'm terrified of getting consumed. And so there's multiple things of like, I could either be like, this is too hard for me to deal with you because you remind me of my mom, and that's what a lot of people do, or this is a gift for me to recognize and reparent myself. So what I recognized is like anytime I felt the feelings I had felt growing up, I actually had new options. I could set boundaries with you in new ways.
Yeah.
We could talk through it. We were able to, even after I would have an energy wall boundary, then we could talk through it, and I could say, I think that I was feeling this, and I think it might have come across like this. How was that for you?
Yeah.
We could talk through it. So now all of a sudden I'm giving my body and my brain repair around autonomy issues, repair around boundaries. And now we're able to talk about it. I'm also able to comfort that part of my little kid where I'm like, oh man, it felt really scary to be consumed by mom, didn't it? It felt really overwhelming. So it enabled me, and all of those things are building distress tolerance. So instead of me being, but it is the view of, am I going to look at this little stress as something that I just hate working with Rachel because this happens sometimes and I'm so frustrated? Or am I going to see it as an opportunity for repair inside of me and for learning how to self-soothe better?
Yeah. I love that so much. Like seeing it as a gift to be the very thing that I need to heal has been huge for me. Like I was thinking about when I go into cling, when I'm like, I feel threat and I want to cling, what's often happening in my nervous system is I actually abandon myself and pay more attention to what's going on with you, trying to fix it with you. And that's exactly what I did with my mom.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh my gosh, it doesn't feel like she's okay. I must have done something wrong. Now I'm going to try to fix it and totally leave my own self. And in our dynamic, it was such a gift to me because basically what ended up helping on my end that I could do is go do the very thing I needed when I was a kid, which was to learn how to self-soothe. So when I could be like, oh, I'm feeling this energy rise and I actually want to move towards Abby and fix everything with Abby, what it is that I actually need now is what I needed back then. And if I could give that to myself now, it'll actually heal the back then. So if I could just go away and go for a walk and check in with myself and be kind and loving towards myself, doing that cycle over and over and over again is actually going to be the very repair that I needed inside of my own soul.
Yeah, but you had a lot of opportunities to do that.
Well, I mean, here's the truth. And we actually both learned, I was able to start to notice the cue before I hit a huge wall.
Yeah.
I started to be able to learn the cue of she's left herself and she's trying to cling to me.
Yeah.
And then I could say, do you think that you're feeling shame? Do you need to go check in with yourself? Do you think that something's going on? Why don't you go spend a few minutes to figure out what's going on inside of you?
Yeah.
And so then, but again, that, because I wasn't running away from the sensations, I was then able to understand the loops and it gave me more skills. So now there's still probably times we all have moments where it catches us off guard and we have a body reaction.
Totally.
But I would say way more often than an autonomy boundary, I'm now often saying, hey, do you need to go check in with yourself?
Yeah.
That
very
feels
true.
like a more common thing now.
Yeah, that feels true.
And you then go check in on yourself, which also feels really reparenting to me. Because what would have been great is if my mom knew how to self-soothe.
Totally.
If she knew how to take care of herself, to look into what was going on inside of her, to have compassion, to breathe, to do some body movements. You often do things to get the body energy out so that you can feel regulated again. And so it's that ability. Now we're both getting to walk out a healing for our nervous system from our past together because of the tolerance of stress.
100%. And looking at the conflict of that as a gift that could help us heal instead of the thing that we necessarily need to get away from at all costs.
And I think what I really want to point out in this conversation is running away from the pain of conflict, running away from the fear of conflict always traps you more. Always adds pain and trauma. And if you could start to notice and learn to see the gift and the value of things, it does actually build safety that then can be very healing.
Yeah. It's good.
One of the things that I just wanted to ask is, because I've heard, this is something we've talked about with a lot of the married couples around us or people in our programs, is learning that you can self-soothe instead of getting your partner to immediately soothe your pain. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I want to use it real quick. I want to say on self-soothing. Some people don't know what the word self-soothing even means, but it's like,
That's good.
I need a sense of comfort. I need you to do something to bring me comfort, to bring me a sense of care, to help me feel like I'm okay. And the idea
Help me
of
regulate.
it's like when you try to soothe a baby's like having a freak out. It has needs, and someone that's bigger than it and feels capable and can provide comes in and holds it and loves on it and feeds it, and it meets a need, right? And so a lot of us are going, I need you to meet a need. I feel like a child within myself that doesn't know how to get the care and the comfort and the peace that I am needing so bad. So we will get angry, we will get demanding, we will require something from other people that it was never their job to do. And so in this self-soothing process, it's, I have an ability to go inward and take care of that experience inside of me. We haven't been taught how to do that, but we can learn how to do that.
Yeah. I love how you're describing it like a little kid, because that is how I felt on the
100%
inside with my husband, which was
Yes.
like, I am a little kid. Please pick me up and hold me and soothe me and make it all better again.
Yes.
And I had this realization into marriage because basically I would feel distressed, and then my first instinct was to move towards the relationship to seek some sort of reassurance. Like, please, basically, fix this distress that I have inside of me quickly by
Yes.
saying all of the right things.
Yes.
And by validating me
All of the
in
right
the
ways.
exact same way that I need, and somehow knowing me better than I know myself.
Come on.
100%.
And knowing how to bring me relief. thanks, Dad. Totally. That's how I felt on the inside.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I had this like realization of like, wow, I really want him to be my parent.
Yeah.
And I remember having this visual of like a cutout, and that my husband just actually wasn't big enough for the cutout that I was trying to make him fill. And I saw this image in my mind of like that I was trying so hard to like stretch him to fit.
Yes.
Of like get him to be the parent that I wanted him to be and
Yes.
pull him. And I was like, that's actually causing him so much distress because he can't.
Yes.
He can't. He's not that big. He's not my parent. And I actually don't want a marriage where my spouse is my parent. Genuinely, that's actually not what I want in my hardest of hearts. I want us to be partners.
Yes.
I don't want it to be like he's my caregiver.
Yes.
And so on the inside, I really was like, okay, if I could actually notice that this is like my little kid on the inside asking for some sort of comfort, it's actually pretty abandoning of that version of me if I just only latch on to my husband and demand him in my energy. So
Yeah.
please fix that for me. And so I really went on a journey of like, okay, when I can feel that sensation of like, I call it like the crying baby on the inside
Yeah.
sensation, because that's actually what it feels like, is something is wrong, something is not okay.
Totally.
Then learning if I can slow it down for long enough to notice that sensation inside of me, and then what are some things that I could just go and do to bring myself the very like sort of soothing that I need. So for me, that was a lot of body stuff, like going for walks. I have like an acupressure mat that I know that brings my body into a sense of relaxation. I would do a lot of like honestly visualizing that there was like a little kid in front of me and imagining picking them up and holding them and letting them know that they're going to be okay, and that I'm not going to leave them, and that I'm not going to abandon them. Speaking kindly to myself.
Yeah.
Basically being like, what is the secret things that I'm hoping that my husband is going to do? And then am I actually treating myself in the way that I'm hoping that he's going to do for me? Which often then created a map for soothing inside of my own self, because I started to learn, oh, I can do things that bring my body relief. What then ended up happening in my marriage is it opened the door for me to actually help him give him really practical things that we could do together.
Yes.
Where he could partner with me when I was distressed, like doing breathing exercises or going on walks together, or I could tell certain things. I was like, my heart just really needs to hear that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Could you say that to me? Would that be all right? But I think the way that what made that possible was turning towards myself and being like, what can I do to help my own nervous system regulate? And then I can bring him some practical options if he wants to partner with me in that.
I want to add, you were giving him an impossible task
100%.
unconsciously, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you gave him an impossible task, and then when he couldn't meet the impossible task, then there was potential for frustration, bitterness, resentment, or further conflict, right?
Don't say this like it's happened to you. I see
What?
too much of you.
What?
You're validating yourself while talking to Rachel.
I didn't say that. You did.
Your husband, Kyle, sort of.
Your husband just, Kyle had this happen.
What a good guy
Abby,
he was.
Rachel.
And
But so then, because a lot of couples experience this, they give their
100%.
partner the impossible task of somehow reducing the distress that they're inside of, and they don't know how to do it themselves. And then when the partner isn't capable of doing it, you're furthering conflict. Right. And so a lot of relationships are in deeper conflict because they've created unrealistic expectations of each other over this issue. So if you're willing to actually get in and build the emotional distress tolerance inside of you, you'll actually see a lot of conflicts die off, because you'll no longer think that it's your partner's job to take care of something that only you can manage.
Yeah.
I had two thoughts. One is remembering that conflict is actually pretty stressful for almost everybody.
100%.
And I think that the more I've understood that we have intolerable sensations and emotions, and that both people have that, it's helped me have compassion when I see Justin hitting one of his deep pockets where you're like, okay, this must be an intolerable moment for you. And it's helped me have compassion on me when I'm hitting my deep pockets. Oh, this must be intolerable for me. And it helps you understand if somebody's throwing the hot potato, they must have hit a quick trigger.
Yeah, it's really good.
anytime that people are like, I can't handle you being upset with me, let's drop it. It's fine. Anytime they're stonewalling or yelling or blaming or accusing or pressuring for resolution right now. That's a big one. Like, we need to solve this right now. We need to talk this through this right now. We have to make it through this right now.
I did that so much.
What that shows is you don't have the capacity to hold your own feelings. And this is something I have a couple of friends that have struggled with this, and we built this course this year called Reclaiming You, and the whole concept is this: how to understand your emotions, what's going on inside your body, how it reacts, why it reacts, and then ways to soothe and nurture and take care of it where you don't feel alone. Because I think a lot of us, if it feels like I have to go hold the screaming baby, I'm like, I am the screaming baby, so I have to just fix myself. That's the reason I'm uncomfortable to begin with. And so sometimes if you have people that are bigger than you that can give you tools and help you understand what's going on inside of you, it can feel a little bit like parenting, so that nurturing yourself or soothing yourself doesn't feel like orphan mentality. It more feels like somebody is helping me learn to care for myself.
Yeah.
So that is something you can email in or go to our website, justinandabby.com, and write a little message that you're interested in reclaiming you.
Yeah, we have a spot at the bottom of the page where you can contact us, and that's abi.com.
justinandabby.com.
justinandabby.com. And I want to say this, as always, rate, review, subscribe, and share. If you're not on YouTube yet, go to YouTube and subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, and it really does help when you share. Like, I've gotten a lot
really
of
big deal.
people that if this impacts you, and this series is such an important series because this is, I think, the root of most conflict. I think is this thing of we're not aware that we're in distress, and we're not aware that we can actually challenge ourselves to feel it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't mean I'm like, now let's have 3-hour conflict. But that means
God, no.
I'm like, okay,
Please no.
I'm going to take 3 minutes before I respond. I'm going to pause. Part of emotional maturity is I'm going to pause. And in my pause, I'm not lawyering you in my head, because I used to do that. I used to pause and just tell them off in my head for the whole 3 minutes. That didn't help me soothe. Ironically, I thought it would. But like pausing to actually check in with what's going on inside of me. What am I struggling with tolerating? What do I need to name? What is this reminding me of? And what can I care for or have compassion on? Just that creates a gap where you've now held the hot potato long enough that it is much, it's not, maybe it's still hot, but it's maybe not scalding. And then it gets easier to make mashed potatoes out of with your partner.
Mashed potatoes. Also, going back to rate, review, subscribe, and share. For those of you who haven't gone to like iTunes podcasts and written a review there, and if you're impacted by what we do, the gift you can give us to say thank you is to go write a review. I've had so many people actually come to me and say, I started listening to your podcast. Like, somebody made mention of it, and I looked at the reviews and I was like, this looks incredible. I'm going to listen to it. So that actually is incredibly beneficial. And so if you take the time to do that, that's a gift you can give us. We really appreciate that. And I'm done.
I just want to mention one more thing.
Oh, what?
We also have the Compassion Project that we've made
That's
that
good.
teaches people how to have compassion
Yeah.
on themselves. And we also have a regulation library that teaches people how to be able to be a little bit more present and find peace and self-soothe. So we have we also have Relationship Glue, which is how to do conflict well. And we talk through like easy ways to add safety with each other when you're having intolerable emotions. It's intolerable. So there's lots of resources that we have if you're interested. justinandabby.com. Rachel is on Instagram. You can find her at Rachel Hughes Consulting.
Correct.
We're on Instagram.
Our names.
Come say hi.
Say hello.
Hi.
Hola,
Let us know
mi
what you
amigo.
think about the video. Sometimes people will do that. They'll message on the videos about their thoughts about the podcast, and it thrills me.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I feel
to
really
me.
happy about that.
I like hearing people's stories and insights.
Yeah.
It's encouraging. Makes me not want to quit doing this. So go leave a message.
That's true. It does help to not want to quit. Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.